Cedric Tillman, just wanted to do a quick blurb on Cedric Tillman because he was a guy that one of the main dudes at OTAs. I know obviously Amari wasn't there. Elijah didn't come to the first session. And Jerry Jeudy, I think, had a little bit of I think he already had like a little injury situation where
Jesus.
he was still out there running routes, but I
Right.
think it kind of limited him a little bit on some of the drills. So Cedric Tillman was kind of like the top dude out there. And, he's out there building that rapport with Deshaun Watson, the chemistry. We saw Tillman have some issues last year, didn't really seem to be on the same page with the playbook, the play calls with the quarterback, running his routes, breaking stuff off, not following through. But there was no denying that the dude made some grown-ass man catches.
Yes. Yeah. For me, right now, as we sit here, it's crazy to think that he may be able to jump over like Elijah Moore on the depth chart. But like physically, if you look at those two, Cedric Tillman is probably a half a foot taller and like 30, 40 pounds heavier. And dominant, and like I feel like he kind of brings like a mentality to his play. You know what I mean? Like he kind of just is so physical with everything, and like he's a guy that I'd love for everything to go through. Because when we drafted him, we were like, hey, maybe this is the new Amari. You know what I mean? Maybe this is our next number one. And it just kind of never really got there. He didn't really get the opportunities, any of that. But physically, I mean, if he can make the jump and he can beat out Elijah Moore on the depth chart, my goodness, could be huge, especially if we're throwing around more. My biggest argument with everybody, they're like, Cedric Tillman is going to be, a big time player this year. I'm like, he had a lot of trouble seeing the field. He's just kind of buried on the depth chart until there was injuries and stuff like that. But you're hearing about this offense. We're throwing it all over the place, going 4 wide. So maybe he finally does get that opportunity to come in, and if it all is clicking and he's picking up the playbook better and finishing routes and all that stuff, maybe there's something to this.
I think there is. And I know the main kicker for this segment that, made it onto the list for me was I was listening to a fantasy podcast earlier in the week, and they were talking. They just brought up Cedric Tillman randomly from the Cleveland Browns. I'm like, Cedric Tillman, they didn't talk about Amari, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore. I'm like, why are they? And they said that they were hearing reports from whatever sources they had that Cedric Tillman was pretty much a lock to be a starting outside receiver for the Browns.
Yeah.
So it was going to be Amari, Tillman, and they were going to move Jerry Jeudy into the slot, which I think I've been talking all the time. That's perfect. I want Jeudy in the slot. I would, honestly, if Elijah Moore is going to play, I want him on the outside. Mm-hmm. He's better on the outside than he is in the slot. So Cedric Tillman, to me, I was so excited when we drafted him. If you guys watched that draft night episode, I was like pumped that we got him. I think that he's got very good talent and very good potential. Kevin Stefanski, after the OTAs and mini camps, his quote, which I thought, there's coach speak, and then there's, you kind of read into some things. But what he said about Cedric was interesting. He said he was here every single day. I don't know if that was kind of like a slight on the other guys, but like, hey, look, I don't know what these other guys are doing, but I know Cedric was here every day. That's kind of how I took it. But he said he was here every single day. I know he got better because of that. I think he got better in the weight room, got better in the meeting room, and he definitely got better on the grass. To me, that's high praise from the head coach.
From your coach,
yes. So that was good to see. And again, we had Amari Brown on the show last week, I think, whatever. And, he talked about Cedric Tillman a lot. He said he's one of the main guys. Took the rookies under his wing, showing them the ropes, kind of helping them along. And it's like, I feel like Cedric Tillman is embracing this leadership role with these younger guys. And coming in as a rookie can be tough.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, buried on the depth chart. DPJ was here. Mm-hmm. They just traded for Elijah Moore. Yep. And then everything, Deshaun Watson gets hurt. They're rotating through quarterbacks. Nick Chubb gets hurt. The run game's falling apart. It was just like, it was a mess last year. The offensive situation was just a mess. So I'm excited to see what Cedric Tillman can do this year.
Absolutely. Isn't it kind of interesting too? Like, because it's not like he's like a wily vet, right? He's a second-year guy. He's still learning things, like as far as like how to be a pro's pro. Yeah. So I do think it's very cool that like he's taking the rookies under his wing or whatever you want to say, and kind of guiding them along. But he's not that far removed from that situation. I think maybe that's part of it.
And I think it helps that he was an older rookie. He was 23 when he was drafted. So he's a little more mature, a little more grown up, you would think, than, maybe like a 20-year-old kid
Right.
coming in. So it's just good to see. And again, like you mentioned, the physicality. I mean, that block that he laid was it Kyle Van Noy in Baltimore?
Baltimore, yeah.
He had a couple blocks last year where he just laid some guys out. And again, he made some catches. And it went back to, we saw it in the preseason. He was making hands catches. Plucking that ball out of the air. Strong hands, physical, just coming through contact and everything. It's like, man, that's the type of receiver we need.
Yes.
To kind of round out this wide receiver room. So pretty excited to see what Cedric Tillman can do here in 2024.
Absolutely. Okay.
I saw some of the same things that you saw about how I heard Stefanski talk about him, said he's gotten better everywhere and on the grass.
Yep.
I've heard some other things like he looked really good in the OTAs and stuff, and he played well. So nothing.
What do you want me to do, bro? I can't just start busting up laughing.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So we're getting loose here. I was sitting over here the whole time, not on mics, and I'm just being loose.
Getting all out.
Yeah. In terms of what kind of leap I expect to take from him, I think it's all about opportunity. I know we're going to run more, wide open 3-4 wide receiver sets. The offense is going to be more pass happy and that kind of stuff. So I would assume he's going to take a leap statistically as opposed to what he did last year. You would think he's going to take that leap. But do I think he's going to come out and put up 800-900 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns? Don't know if I'd go that far. As if he's going to be the true number, probably the 4. The number 4, I think. I mean, can we get 400 yards out of him? 2 to 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, then I think maybe like we could consider that a successful season for Tillman. And it at least gives you confidence in him that maybe he can move up to a number 3 or number 2 receiver once, like Amari Cooper is out, not here anymore. If Elijah Moore isn't here for a second contract and that kind of stuff, maybe it gives you a little bit of faith that he can step into that role if he produces in a more limited role. I just don't think you're not going to sit Cooper, Judy, Moore. You're not going to take away targets from David Njoku to be getting Cedric Tillman the ball, unless he forces your hand, unless he really has gone from what he was last year to just a guy he's making it so we can't keep the ball out of his hands. He's just playing that well, then cool, good for us. But I think the opportunities are going to be limited in terms of where he is on the depth chart.
I think sometimes, we talk about running backs will get maybe some opportunities because they're good at pass pro. I think Cedric will get some opportunities just strictly because they need him on the field to block.
Yeah, but there's going to be run plays.
Sure, but then you get maybe some audible, situations and things like that where they check out of it and go to a pass play. And I think down around the red zone,
he is a big body guy, and we saw him last year. He hand catches.
Yeah,
he doesn't let the ball get in on his chest. He goes up and plucks it out of the air. So I do like him as a red zone target. And I liked Cedric Tillman's rookie year. I know it wasn't gaudy statistically, but he played tough. And he might have made some mental mistakes, as any rookie would. But, man, I thought he showed promise as a rookie, especially as a rookie who, let's be honest, even though we got rid of DPJ so he could step into that role, what role was he taking from DPJ? A guy who had 98 yards. It's not like DPJ was, getting so many targets and then so we got rid of him so Cedric Tillman could get those targets. DPJ wasn't getting targets either, So I do think he'll have more opportunity this year, though, just based on the offense we're supposed to run. And by all accounts, we have been running. And it's actually different this year, not the fake different that we got last year.
Yeah, the fake different we got last year was very disappointing. But now we're hearing players actually talk about it. So when players say stuff, that means a little more than just media people talking about, oh, yeah, it's going to be different, or, even coaches saying it, because the players are out there actually doing it. So